Their own. We will get started in just 1 second,
Today's
and
vibe.
we are running a little late here, folks, but just getting started now. Yeah. All right. How is everyone doing? Welcome to our umpteenth small business marketing tips session. Today is an awesome topic: e-commerce marketing with AI and how you can grow your product business. I mean, e-commerce could be services too, right? So we're going to focus on
Yeah.
both sides. And what are some awesome ways to really grow your brand, your visibility, and importantly, your sales? If you have e-commerce on your website, on social media, on marketplaces like Amazon, Etsy, eBay, Walmart, there's so many out there. But welcome all. Happy post-election day. Hope everybody had a good night's sleep. If not, if you are smiling, that no need to say which party you belong to, but we'll just take that. And if you are reminiscing as to what happened, we'll take that. And that's what America is all about, right, folks? So every 4 years we get new leadership, but what matters is, as I was telling my daughter earlier, we find ways to come together as one nation with a focus on how to build a better future for everybody, right? So, and of course, be kind, as Cindy was saying earlier, and do some great work for the community. So, again, a lot of great mixed feelings, but it pays to say, look, since 1776, when I wasn't born, through 2024, we have had lots of elections and we'll have many more. So I think what matters is what we do at a local level a lot more, and do some great things for the community. Coach Steve, you maybe want to share a little sentiment there, objectively.
You know what? I agree. I think whoever wins any kind of content or contest, be magnanimous.
Be magnet.
Be appreciative of how what you got and move on for the benefit of everybody. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. And so what we want to do is, I just want to share a couple of slides and then really jump into showing you something that's happening on the e-commerce world. Cindy, how are you doing? Let's talk.
Hey, I'm good. I'm just putting my vibe of the day in here. It might sound too corny, but this is what I'm going with for today. Help one person at a time and start with the person nearest. So that's what I'm going
Wow.
with.
Thank you, Cindy. I take a hug. Yes. Of course. So let me start the sharing. There we go. So again, I'm Sanjay Dalal, the founder and CEO of oGoing, and I changed my profile image some time back, and I had this awesome 21 suggestions for living wisely and well. And every now and then I would go back to those, and I'll be happy to email all of you. It's just an awesome way
I love that.
to introspect at times, to think about all the good things which, as you said, Cindy and Coach Steve, which you already have, what you're grateful for, and importantly, what you can help, your family and others going forward, right? So again, great way to I would say recalibrate many a times, and say, look, we'll have a great future together. So again, I want to talk a little bit about oGoing, but after what Cindy does, share about Kokoro and what she does. Yeah.
Okay. About what I do. Well, I like to help start sales conversations. So I figure the marketing should just be what you would say if you're just having a sales conversation with somebody, but it's maybe written down or in video form. And the whole purpose of it is to run in parallel with whatever sales efforts are happening. And so that is what I'm all about. And I started, I want to say at 7 this morning, just like talking with people and working on those very things, whether it's email or SMS or coming up with a message that we can convey out to people, short videos, that kind of thing, using those as the tactics and the overall plan. Make sure
Oh, yeah.
we serve people with what they need, and if it makes sense, start that sales conversation. So that's what I'm all about.
Absolutely. And we have been talking small business marketing, a lot this year, right? So we started back on May 22nd, and today is our 13th session. So we are going strong. We have three more coming up. And today's topic is on e-commerce marketing. And what I want to do is, the next session is on November 20th on search, display, and social media advertising. So that's a big topic, right? Many things to cover there as well. Going a quick overview. We are growing. We have 150,000 members now. We are the number one community for small business growth. Some of you are active oGoing members. We really appreciate that. Keep going. And we just launched a brand new release, and it's getting some great feedback. So far things have functioned extremely well. We had a few hiccups after the release, but things are back to normal now, and members are loving it. So join oGoing if you have not, and you're joining because it helps you create a great brand, great presence online on oGoing as well as social media and SEO. Helps you boost your website traffic. Uh, Great place for networking with authentified, or authentic users, verified members, if you may, and really helps you boost your SEO and brand. So again, take a minute, join oGoing, and come back and do more on oGoing. Cindy, more talk on Kokoro?
Hey, I think I said the things. I'm good.
Okay. Yeah. So I think the big topic for the day is e-commerce marketing with AI, and can AI really help? And I think that is the question of the day. And what I've done is taken a few thoughts on this, as to where AI can help. And the first thing AI can help is personalized product recommendation, right? So, and there's about 8 different things AI can help, and we'll look at all of them, and we'll also go online and maybe do a quick demo as well, as to look at different sites to see if this makes sense and how AI has changed up the game, if you may. But how many of you go to e-commerce marketplaces to buy things? So maybe let's talk about that. Let's, like,
Yeah.
when was the last time you went to Amazon to purchase something? Or your favorite marketplace could be Walmart, could be Etsy, could be eBay. And what do you all think? The last time you purchased something? Today, yesterday?
All
Um,
last week.
yeah. And when you go and buy something, Coach Steve, what happens next? So let's say the next time you go to the marketplace, are you going to see more things relevant to that, and maybe even connected to that? I think more and more marketplaces are doing that, right?
Oh, even if I don't purchase an item, if I simply search for an item, I'm likely to see that pop up in all kind of different places when I'm searching for other things. I'm not even on an e-commerce site. It just keeps bringing that past item that I was looking at back into my field of view.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
no, absolutely. And I think so. This perfection was, if you may, Amazon laid the way with this, right? Many, many, many years ago. I think even before AI was called AI, they figured out that if they can find a way, to know what the customers are looking for when they search, which is what Amazon search engine is, when you go to Amazon search, and then they provide you, some of the best products in terms of reviews, in terms of quality, in terms of maybe innovation. So all of these things is where it started. But then if you now do a search, as Coach Steve said, on a site like Google or any of the other search engines, they will also offer you, not only great results for the product, but also then follow you around. It's kind of what happens. and not just Google now. If you do something similar on a Meta or a Facebook, properties, or TikTok, if you are into videos now, and even YouTube, right, which also belongs to Google, by the way. So again, what happens is they become aware of what you do, and they use this thing called cookies on your computer, unless you're really smart and clear those every day, or you use private browsing. But there are advantages to them following you, right? Because they help you hopefully arrive at a good decision. Alan, you had a question? Go ahead, Alan.
Well, I had a more of a comment, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure.
Yeah, it's nice to see you again, Steve, and all you great ones, great superstars. When you bring up Amazon, it's a very amazing when it comes to e-commerce, because I had the honor and privilege of just last week meeting a founder of another a free platform that I'm definitely going to let them know about oGoing. It's called
Thank
Skyler
you.
Network. But it's great information about e-commerce and marketplaces.
No, absolutely. So I think the AI point to this is what AI does, right? So what AI does is it actually takes this journey to the next level, right? So so let's take an example. So I was trying to buy, like a lot of folks are sharing now. If I may, I'll just share my browser here. So I was trying to find an acrylic cell phone stand, for example, right? And this is Amazon. I searched for it. It found it. This looks cool. So now, of course, I can buy it, or I can say, well, I want to do a little more research. So now I'm thinking, is this the right one? The reviews wise, it's 4.7. It's on sale. The price doesn't look too bad. And now I said, let's look at AI as well to see if, on Google search, I'm going to say acrylic cell phone stand. Again, simple. But, this is good. But now, if you want to take it one step further, we can ask that question to ChatGPT as well, saying, find me. I guess what I'm trying to show you is how things are changing in the world of AI. Find me an acrylic.
So Sanjay, one of the things that I saw, especially with a couple of companies that I worked this year, we're developing AI for product search and enterprise search, is not only that the documents or the search is based on text and semantics,
Yep.
is basically you type, but the system analyzes the pictures, and is more accurate with the results. So if let's say that you can type a color and it might read the semantics, but you can be more specific a color, and then the product is supposed to read something or have the name of someone, or let's say that you say, teddy bear with a diaper or something like that, and a couple of other things that more related to the image. The AI will find that and then give you those results. And then on top of that, I know maybe I saw that Ram is in the call. Maybe he's seen a lot more than I have. But
Yep.
There's something around the concept of NBA, next best action, which is part of the customer journey.
Yes.
AI is doing is just pulling pretty much everything specific to each one of those customers and then give those suggestions. So it's a more advanced than the following you or your search, but it's really on the tendencies over a period of time of what you buy, what you like, your preferences in terms of color, music, your all sorts of things in terms of your behavior that AI is reading and then suggest a path for purchase and your customer journey based on so many different things that are attached to your behavior, not only just your previous searches.
And I think that is That's an important observation right there, right? So what it does is it actually, based on the semantic search that you have, it really learns what you're looking for and makes your whole journey, that much, I would say, more, reliable, right? Going forward, right? So if you haven't made up a purchasing decision, now once you purchase it, I think the question then becomes, well, what are you going to do with it, right? So I think that's the next part of the journey. I want to share that as well. But again, this is the long form search. Like find me an acrylic cell phone stand that works well for video and FaceTime, and here is what Amazon tells you. But what I also like is something like Chat GPT, where it actually gives you a reason behind that, right? So it tells you what this stand means and how it can be useful. But now this new version, they actually attach a photo as well as a link. So now imagine, how this has changed, right? So, whereas seeing a bunch of products, it actually gives you some context. And now hopefully you can make a more informed decision, right, as to the purchase that you're planning on making. So again, there are different ways AI is changing the buying behavior, both from the point of view of how you research potential product, but also then how you end up purchasing it, right? So I think that was the first point about personalized product recommendations, how AI takes you to the next level. But the next one is even more interesting, and this is something I heard, and which is dynamic pricing optimization. Now imagine AI knows you so much so better, Ricardo, for instance, where it will actually change the price based on who you are, you as a buyer, or provide you a pricing which it believes makes more sense for you. So that actually is the next level of AI, where you can see this not just in an online, marketplace where you are visiting any of those marketplaces, but it can also happen when you go to a retail store. That to me is the next level. Of course, there are people who also say the one place where they will not like that to happen is at a grocery store where, they're going into the store, they thought the price was, let's say, $2.99, but they realize Coach Steve is a billionaire and he can afford $4.99. And now they want to charge him $2 more, right? But I don't know. Do you all think that a dynamic pricing optimization really is a positive attribute to AI, or it could potentially be used to, by retailers or manufacturers to create more profits? And let's have a quick discussion on that.
Is that the same type of technology that's used, like, for example, with Airbnb, that, if you get close to the check-in date, that the price might drop, or if things get really busy in that area, things go up? Is that an algorithm more, or is that AI, do we think? Just wondered.
I think
It
that's
could
similar. Go ahead.
it could be both. A lot of this is programmatic, meaning
Right.
there's some algorithm running, but it also depends on the perishability of goods, like Airbnb, airline seats,
Exactly.
hotel occupancy. They're all perishables. Once if a room goes unoccupied for the night, it goes unoccupied for the night. There's no way to
Right.
reuse it. So it's got perishability, occupancy, and so there are lots of algorithms that actually drive it. You really don't need true AI to drive that in the
Right,
true
right,
sense. But then there are other factors that programmatic cannot do. For example, weather in Chicago might drive certain pricing versus weather in Los Angeles or weather in San Francisco. So those are harder to manage programmatically. Doable, but still harder to manage programmatically. So it's usually a combination of those, and
Gotcha.
that's where AI starts to come into effect.
Yeah, I think that's a great point,
Interesting.
Ram. And I remember like the other day we wanted to well, we went to Yosemite, and I think it was like one of those spontaneous plans, but not as spontaneous. So I was looking at the prices in Oakhurst, which is the nearest place for southern entrance to Yosemite Park. And so either I was looking and I forgot, or maybe for a few hours I wasn't making up a decision. And the next thing I know, so I normally go to booking.com or Priceline, right? Because that's where I start my journey if I'm trying to go somewhere quickly. And so I think I was looking at this one hotel very closely, and the next thing I know is like, okay, we have the last room available, but since you're still thinking about it, here is a 20% discount. Are you going? Or something like that. So it's almost like, oh my God. So I wasn't really like 100% yet, but when I saw that 20% off, I'm like, okay, now it seems
Right?
reasonable enough. You know what? I'm just going to buy this. And I thought the way it was worded, Ram, it also created a little bit of a demand from my end saying either you're buying it or it's going to go away, right? So I said, you know what, let's just purchase this room. It's a one night thing, so, but still, I like the fact that I saved like 20, $30. No, it wasn't a big difference, but still it mattered. Yeah. So, Alan, you had a point? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And I love dynamic pricing. Actually, back in 2009, before my entrepreneurial journey, I was the one when you called the 800 number. I was actually at a call center, and I had to literally, people would get upset because they would, well, why don't you get the price at the hotel? And we had a CRM built in, so I got learning exactly what you were talking about. I learned from a little lady, she was about 75, and she would say, oh my goodness, you don't want me to have grandma to miss the medicine. And we had this price situation built into it, but we can like pull it out of inventory. So dynamic pricing has been around for a while. And I learned that it, like you say, it's kind of a sense of urgency. And when you want to make a decision without pushing, but supply and demand. So it's very fine, depending on what industry you're talking about. Now, when I sold cars, that was different because when you sold cars, you couldn't have a going on Tuesday and then, well, let me take that back. It does happen if you have a car on the lot that is past the next year, like they don't want you to have any car next 2025. So it's a very interesting with AI. This is going to be very interesting, but it has to be a human factor somewhat into it because if it goes unchecked, then it could be a problem. But I love this conversation.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point, Alan, and thanks for sharing that. But Ram, I had a question. Do you think on the dynamic pricing, like, do you think a retailer can actually put together more of electronic pricing in the future? Do you envision that, where it can actually change based on who you are, and as you're buying and going to different products that you normally buy, or maybe as maybe you're looking at your app while you're also going around the grocery store, or even shopping, right? A clothing apparel store. And do you think the pricing might change based on how you are looking at things? Do you think that's a real possibility in the future?
See, from a technology point of view, it's doable. It's not that it's not doable. They can track. They know where we are from our phones. And who we are. A lot of that stuff is already known.
Yeah.
And usually it will work the reverse. The price won't go up; it'll actually come down based on your affordability. That's far more palatable for people than to say, "Hey, my price went up." Oh, I got a 10% discount. Because whatever reason, and the other person only got 3% discount. That's okay. Both of them are getting discounts. From a technology point of view, it's doable. But I think from a perception point of view, it is a lot more, it's going to be harder for them to push it down to people. It won't be palatable. Why am I getting 10% discount for the same product, whereas somebody else is getting 25% discount, or the other way around? I better keep quiet because I'm getting a 25% discount, and then normally it's only like 5%. So it's going to be harder. What I think is is possible, and I haven't seen it anywhere yet. Even though they do it, but it is less. Like if you go to Smart and Final, some days, let's just use the staple bananas, for example. You get 70 cents to a pound, but certain days, it's 49 cents a pound. Why is that? Because they are forecasting that the next few days are going to be hot. Their produce is going to, go bad. Again, perishability there. But they would be able to, if they could do it dynamically based on their availability of products, and then the weather distribution and other factors, then it could truly become electronic and varying. So you could have a price in the morning, by afternoon it's a different price. That's from an AI point of view, I think that's the possibility.
Absolutely. I mean, it's fascinating where things are going with dynamic pricing. I think to me it also goes back to maybe providing preferred pricing, if you may, to your loyal customers, right? To somebody who is carrying, a loyalty card with the store, if you may, and or a repeat buyer, right? So part of, I feel like dynamic pricing would be awesome, right? For customers like those where you are giving them or providing them that extra value, if you may, or that satisfaction that they receive from that. We have talked about AI-powered chatbots many times, but more and more the websites, including e-commerce plays like Shopify as well, they're integrating this. Facebook Messenger, if you are on Facebook and you're running product ads on Instagram as well, or WhatsApp now, right? So I think the AI powered chatbots are everywhere. So if you're not using it, or virtual assistants they're called, get in the habit. I think Cindy, you want to add something on that?
Well, of all the things we're talking about,
Yeah.
I think this is probably the most tangible in terms of a small business putting it into play today. Some of the other stuff sounds great, and I could be wrong about this. I'm just thinking, how do I apply that as a small business? This is the one that, can be a relatively low cost, almost no cost investment.
Yep.
And by doing like product recommendations or something like that and setting it up here, you can actually get a noticeable change in revenue. And so I think this is the one that I, as a small business, will go to first and do recommend first, because like it can actually put it into play and do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you need help with chatbots, talk to Cindy. I think she is a bona fide expert at this point, and she has delivered those many times over for many, many customers. So please do. I think goes along with that, the enhanced search functionality. We already shared some of the examples on that. But again, like shoes for winter, right? Or a certain type, like we're going to Iceland and waterproof shoes. And there's a difference in waterproof shoes and water resistant shoes. And sometimes you have to learn the hard way that there is a difference.
And for this, I feel like as a consumer, I understand the benefit of this. But as a small business owner, I'd love to hear from y'all on the panel here, or everyone attending. Like, how can we as small businesses actually take advantage of this for our own business? Like, make sure the photos are good, or the alt text, or like how do we take advantage of this as a business owner, do you think? If anybody has thoughts, that'd be cool.
That's a great point.
I'll throw out something that I recently did.
Please. Yeah.
And this was actually shown to me. I didn't really just conjure this up. Somebody said, "Hey, have you ever done this before?" And so I did a couple things. I went into an AI platform called Perplexity.
I love that. Yeah.
And I just put in my URL for my website.
Yeah.
And I asked Perplexity to go in and tell me how I could upgrade it from a content standpoint and from a Google search standpoint.
Nice.
And it gave me back a complete list which I've been working through on the search standpoint of all the things it found in my website that weren't in compliance with what Google usually uses to do an effective search. One being, because I built this thing myself. I mean, this is
Yeah.
my fourth iteration in like a 12-year period. So you kind of learn along the way, but I'm by no means an expert in this area. One of the things I had not done well was the H tags for the sequencing of your page content.
Gotcha.
And so it not only showed me where I was not doing it well, but it actually provided me with a service online that I could go to actually evaluate each page and figure out where I was screwing up. And so I've been methodically going through and updating every page just for that feature.
Brilliant.
And then you go back later and you can find out if you're missing any images which require alt tags, and that produced a couple areas that I had overlooked. And then it just gave other things like maybe you might want to update this picture. It's been on there for 12 years, And so it gave me like a contractor's punch list of things I could go through over time and start upgrading and improving the look of the site. And then the next thing I'll be doing is going in and upgrading the content, because you can actually copy all of your content on one page, throw it into one of these things, Chat, Perplexity. I mean, they're all really good at this, and ask it to create a different tone. And it will do that for you. And if you like the way it reads, you just go in and replace what you have. So to me, that's an invaluable feature, because most business owners that aren't paying for a professional site and a webmaster to watch all of this stuff end up building sites, or maybe they pay a one-time fee for a site and years go by and they do nothing with it. And, at some point it's just not relevant anymore. Google may have actually put a tombstone in front of it because you haven't made any updates. So there's all kind of stuff that you can defeat yourself online when you're trying to spend all this money to get people to come to you. And when they go to your home base, it's uninviting. So that's probably been the biggest benefit that I've gotten just in trying to tune up what people find when I spend all this time and effort getting them to come to my site.
So it sounds like one thing, taking a page from what you're doing then, Steve, is could go to Perplexity or one of those and say, hey, here's my site. Is there anything I can do to make these images be more accessible by
Right.
AI search, whatever?
And, look, with all of these sites, what I've found is there's probably way more benefit that I'll get over time. But what I have to learn how to upgrade is the questions I ask. Because the more specific you
Sure.
ask and what you're looking for as an outcome, the better the response coming back, in terms of what you want. And so it's taken me a while to kind of curate my ability to ask good questions, so it's not one of these garbage in, garbage out kind of situations.
No, this is a great point, and I think optimizing your website and making it, I would say more receptive for your consumers or business buyers, whoever is your audience, so it resonates with them, where they connect and importantly make a buying decision, which is kind of what we are looking for, be it coaching services, be it a product, be it marketing, right? Whatever. I think that's always something, it's never done, first of all. You have to keep doing it, keep tinkering it. And what Coach Steve says, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's interesting though that Perplexity is a competitor to Google. So I like the fact that you are looking at Perplexity to say, hey, how do I optimize my site for Google?
Brilliant.
It's all good. It's all good because they all work well in parallel together, right? So
Well, the other thing I found interesting is if you can pick 3 different AI platforms.
Yep.
I've just listed 2, but grab a third one.
Yep.
And throw a question in there and make something very specific.
Yeah.
Throw the same question into all 3 and see what comes back.
Done that.
It's not all going to be the same. Now,
So
it'll
I
all be in the
normally,
same kind of universe, but just depending on how these things are set up. The thing I like about Perplexity is it gives you footnotes on where it got the information from. So you don't run the risk of saying, oh, this sounds great. I'm going to put it on my website and find out later that it was a carbon copy of something on somebody else's website. So you
Yeah.
do have to kind of know that what you're getting back, is it just they went out and hunted and pecked and cut and snipped, or is it an amalgamation of everything they found and then they put it into generalized terms? And I think the whole concept will change over time, but right now you just have to second guess it because it's coming from the internet.
yeah, so I use Copilot as well, and Gemini, which doesn't have an app yet. So you have to actually go to Google and do like Gemini.google or whichever way you like it. But Copilot, there is an app on both the iPhone as well as the iPad. The same with ChatGPT. I use that app as well. And of course, with the newer iPhones, Apple Intelligence is out. So if you have an iPhone, I believe 15 or later, the intelligence is available with iOS 18.1. So, but for everybody else, I have an older iPhone. We have to use all these tools to educate ourselves, and more importantly, it's a great way to learn, to compare. As Coach Steve said, I oftentimes I look at the same question and then see who has a better answer, or I try to integrate some of the answers because I feel like that's a better approach. And what I did notice though is if I ask AI to generate an image now, and then if I post an image or share it, it does now have the alt tags built into it, which I like. I like that because at least now folks know that this is an AI generated image. I mean, I'm not trying to claim that I made this image up, but at least I think that's important, right? For everybody to know as well. Like this image was created by Perplexity, ChatGPT, whatever tool you use to, and they create beautiful images. Like all the images you see today generated by ChatGPT, right? So all I do is give it a prompt saying I want this image or I want something that represents this, and it creates awesome images, right? So definitely use that. What I want to share quickly is a tool I use. It has some AI, of course, but it's Sprout Social. It's been around for a while.
Oh
But now
yeah.
they have integrated more things on the AI side, especially if you want to create content. And we have shown those before, right? Cindy has, I believe she has shown High Level or some other tools for creating content as well. But what I like is this also allows you to do sentiment analysis, so to see what is your audience, if you may, engagement, the audience growth and all that. So again, you can look at it, you can look at by each and every channel. Right now I'm looking at cross channels. So I'm looking at on X, oGoing channel, Instagram, as well as LinkedIn. But if I want, I can just do one of the three channels, right? So again, it gives you a sense of, are you growing? Is the engagement better? Are people clicking on those links, or that you are sharing? All of the above, right? So again, I'm not going to go into all the details, but again, these are the things you can use to keep an eye on all the different kind of social media activities you are doing, and ultimately, what is the ROI of those, right? Because it's great to keep sharing. I know Coach Steve shares a lot of good content. Cindy does as well. And I think what matters is, well, what is the end goal? Are you driving more traffic back to your website, or back to the kind of things you are asking customers to buy, right? So I think optimized content generation, we have talked about that already a lot. Some of the other usefulness, especially if you are selling a lot of products, AI can also help you with managing or having a better view on your inventory and supply chain. Influencer marketing, right? So I think that, we have talked about it in the past. I don't know if a lot of you have used it, but maybe we can share a quick minute on that if somebody has actually used influencer marketing recently? Cindy, any ideas there?
Well, the person I thought of is Alan, because I
Yeah.
feel like you and I talked about this a while ago. I have not done influencer marketing lately, so I don't know that I have anything clever to share.
Yeah. Alan Rupesh, Alan, how about you?
Yeah, Cindy, give me a reminder because
Oh.
there's a couple of lives we might be talking about here.
Like it was a different section where there was some YouTube influencers that I was thinking you were using to promote a software here in Nevada City. And that's what I was
Yeah, that's true. We had
That was
hit and
cool.
miss with some of that. You
Yeah.
know, like one person we wanted to find a person with a big following who was somewhat controversial, and what we discovered on that relationship, because I would say if I were to sum it all up, we were dabbling,
Mm.
you know, and if you're dabbling and you don't create an active influencer relationship system program, designated a person, if not dedicated, maybe you don't go that far, but you kind of have a program where I actually want to tie myself and build a relationship with several influencers, because an affiliate program completely separate, right? And we had that as well. But on the influencer side, we did a decent job on the awareness, top of funnel type stuff, but when it came to sales, it was kind of a break even exercise where, depending on the relationship you have with the influencer, you may have an upfront cost like, hey, for X dollars, I can promote on my channel to my audience in a live event, right? And all the risk is on you at that point, as opposed to in a relationship where it's percentage of sales or something like that, more like an affiliate, right? So I'm kind of up and down with influencer, only because if it's someone you know really well and they're a good friend of yours and you've had a long-term relationship, I think that can work really well. If it's someone that you're like, I need to go find a person in this market space, you're actually taking on a ton of risk that you may not have to. That's my conclusion on our efforts.
Yeah, so I think that's a great point, Alan. And I think some things I look for is if I'm going to have an influencer help us or help one of my clients is not only so now what AI can do, by the way. So let's talk about AI. AI actually you can add the influencer feed, the link if you may, and their their profiles to AI and actually ask AI to analyze the pros and cons of using this influencer. Very useful, right? So, and you can use any of your favorite AI tools from Perplexity to ChatGPT, Copilot, etc. Right? So,
Yeah.
and I think that is important because we don't know if this influencer will create a huge positive uplift or we may run into some trouble later on. And it's better to analyze that upfront. And better way to do it is maybe if you're selected maybe 3 or 4 influencers, put them all and say, look, do an analysis and create a spreadsheet of that so I can quickly review it and share it with my team and make an informed decision. So again, AI can do all of that, which otherwise you have to do it manually, right? So that I think is a great benefit
Yeah.
of doing this. But I think the point is from an engagement point of view, I look at is the influencer able to engage my audience, right? To me, that's the most important thing. So when I look at the content and the ability to share, I also look at what is the engagement on the content that they are sharing. And to me, that's the
Yeah.
single biggest factor that helps me make a decision. Alan, go ahead. Alan Holmes.
Yeah. Let me finish one more
Oh,
point
sure.
here, and that is I think it's very much in line with what you're saying, Sanjay, that the most critical thing is how aligned is that audience to who your ideal customer might be, or who you're trying to get in front of, if you will. Because if I could have Carlos Santana go on a webinar and talk about a guitar that I make. I'm a guitar maker, and he uses my guitar and he says, hey, this is the best guitar ever. Everybody's out there who's an up and coming guitar player. You really need to check this out. That's one thing, right?
Yeah.
But if Carlos Santana is on there saying, hey, we live stream our content and we use X software to do that live stream, you should actually look at X software. Well, how many people in that audience are those who are going to want to have studio production software and streamers? And those that do are like, they're only doing it because Carlos Santana told them to, and then what? So that's the dichotomy, if that's the right word, or the trade-off we would run into all the time when we would look at these influencers. So I'll leave it there.
I love that. And then Sanjay, to go with what you were saying, I saw some software last week that was similar to, I don't know, Apollo or Coldlytics or one of those. And you could type in your perfect customer, your persona, and it would come up with a list of influencers. Then you pay per influencer, and it gives all the statistics you were just talking about. But like, to your point, Alan, I was really skeptical because I'm like, eh. Anyway, I thought I'd jump on with that.
I mean, influencers come with a lot of strings nowadays. It's good, Alan. Alan Holmes, you had a point? I think we'll wrap it up after that quickly, yeah?
Okay, yeah, I'll be real quick. It's kind of, again, ironic. I don't believe in coincidence. You know me, Sanjay. There is and I can send this to you and everyone who has a new concept on influencer marketing with the new unscripted reality show that I've been following since December of last year. I know the executive producer of this incredible reality show, but they're going to be using social media influencers and their followers. And the beauty part of it is these are individuals that are going to be vetted and they're wholesome. You can't have all these unprofessional and things that hurt children. Everything. It is the most amazing concept I've ever heard. But it's every Tuesday night. They have the live speaker, and I've been following so well. So just wanted to throw that in. I can get that to you. But
yeah, it's a good point, Alan. Absolutely. Thank you, man. Yep. So again, for folks who are chatting, I have a question. What's your favorite Santana song? Nothing to do with AI. Just thought I'd throw it out there. I know my favorite is Black Magic Woman, but I'm sure some of you have a different favorite song right there. So feel free to share or ask AI for that. No, just kidding. So, but I think we'll just wrap with a quick, the last minute. Yeah. So if you are running ads on social media, I think there are a lot of great tools now for advertising and creating those ads, as well as seeing the great ROI. I mean, even each platform provides you a lot more than before. So if you're running ads on Meta, Instagram, for instance, or YouTube, even LinkedIn, right? So, dynamic ad targeting is a buzzword. And what it does is it actually has the ability to change what the ad does based on, what it's seeing, right? What the engagement is. Of course, as marketers, we got a little queasy when the ad algorithms take over, and get all automated. But obviously, you want to check it and see how well it's performing, right? And see. So again, to keep quickly a recap, I don't like slides with so much text, but here is a recap. If you may, we'll be happy to share this later on. But I think the ones which are the most relevant to business owners, to Cindy's point, definitely AI-powered chatbots would be awesome, that you can, immediately, install on your website. Enhanced search functionality. Coach Steve talked a lot about some great things you can do to improve your website, and even all the social media activities you do to really make sure it brings back that element of discoverability and online visibility to what you're trying to do, right? So your brand really expands, right, organically. AI content generation, a lot we have already discussed, but use it, right? Use AI to keep creating new content. Don't just copy and paste what it gives you. A lot of us can fall in the trap of that. Try to personalize it. I think Coach Steve made an interesting point about taking what you have on your website, asking AI to create it or recreate it, make it better. And I would say over there, you can A/B test where you can say, look, I want this content in first person or I want this in third person. And believe me, that can make a huge difference because I've seen some awesome copy where, I would say the seller or the marketer is talking in that first person where I'm like totally connected to what they're trying to tell me because it kind of tells you a story. And to me, that feels like, oh my God, this is awesome, right? So again, some of that copy is awesome. So try that out. Put that foot. I think Alan has a point. Alan, go ahead.
Hey,
Alan,
Sanjay,
good. Yeah,
quick comment.
yeah,
Depending on the kind of business you have and the clients you're serving and where you're doing it, all of these AI tools and developments, will be of interest to different people. And it's going to change like everything else. But I try to keep from going down a technical rabbit hole with this stuff by just saying, what am I doing well now and how can I make it better?
yeah.
Because, if you've done the whole marketing thing for years and you've perfected what you do, I don't know that I would encourage anybody to scrap it and look at AI and say, gee, build me something that I hadn't thought of. I would find ways to use the right AI platform to enhance what you already have going and pursue that until you're more comfortable with going down that list that you just showed. Because, some of that stuff is probably really, really good. And for people that know what to do with it, could be have a really great outcome. Two-thirds of that list I would never do just because I have no idea what it is, and I just don't want to run the risk of messing up a good recipe.
Yeah. I mean, I think when folks have some serious products they're selling, let's say through either e-commerce or Amazon or any of the marketplaces, and by talking about serious as in tens of thousands of dollars a month or maybe even hundreds of thousands, I think that's when you really have to bring in a lot more tools, right? Because over there at that point, Coach Steve, even a 1 or 2% improvement is an improvement, right? So I think that's where a lot of this optimization can come into play. Ram, you have a point or Alan? Yeah. Alan, Rapesh?
Yeah, I was going to make a point. If you put that
Yeah.
slide back up there, Sanjay,
Yeah,
while
hold
you're
on. Let me do that. Hold on.
while I'm doing it. But one of the things I've bumped into recently, and I'll let folks kind of chew on this a little bit, but Ann Handley, who is from Marketing Profs,
Yeah.
in her recent couple of books she's written, she just updated it. But what she says is essentially treat I'll say the funny thing first and then I'll say my real point. I like how she treats AI. She says, think of AI as kind of Dobby the house elf, and that's I thought that was kind of cool. But she says absolutely do not get your first draft from AI. Always, I mean, it's your writing. Always write it down. This is your creation. Then send it through the AI of your choice or choices. And could be controversial, right? I mean, many of us get our first draft out of AI because we're kind of stuck. But from her point of view, she will say, don't do that. Always create your first draft yourself, your ugly first draft, as she calls it. And
Yep.
then you can use AI to enhance it. And I think that's a little bit with what Steve was talking about in the sense of, hey, come on, this is your creation, create, and then get some help.
Yeah, you know what? And here's another thing that I started doing. Again, someone else said, "Hey, why don't you do this?" But if from prior years have accumulated a lot of articles and posts in your blog, some of that stuff's probably dated by now. But you can go back and take each one of those and load it into an AI platform and just ask it to update it. Or, maybe change the tone, maybe a little less instructional and a little more informative. And you can literally get your own creation back updated and you can repost it and it's almost like a new article. So you can repurpose all of your old content that's just laying out there and get mileage from it just by having AI just upgrade it and make it more, relevant and more current. And so that's kind of what I've been using a lot of these platforms for is how do I take all this stuff that I've amassed and reuse it again and get more mileage out of it?
No, that's a great point, and I think Cindy, on that note, I know we need to get more mileage of all these videos, that we have shared. That's a new tool that you can use for AI, with AI, where you can take an hour-long video and create awesome snippets out of it, and then share it because nobody has more than a minute to watch a recording nowadays. And I think minute might be on the very high end of watching a video unless I guess you're George Clooney. That's different, I guess, or Brad Pitt, right? So, but the point is, folks, this was a great session. Cindy, takeaways from you?
Oh, I love Steve's, like, you get Perplexity or something like that to analyze website and give a punch list on possible updates. And then for me, still the chatbot is the second thing. Those are like the two things that I could actually implement and do. And the other stuff feels like really cool trends, and I'm waiting to see how I could actually put them to work myself. I like it. I like it all. Thank you.
Absolutely. And optimize your listing, right? So if you have products that are listed on Amazon or Walmart or any of the marketplaces, keep looking at AI to tell you how to optimize it even more so.
Smart.
And never just take the recommendation at face value. I would always do A/B testing. So keep your original, whatever it is that you're still doing, and put the new one as your B test, if you may, and see how well it does. And if it does well, then go all in or do the third one and so on, right? So again, never just think AI see all the answers. With that tone, November 20th, next session, I'm going to actually ask folks here, first of all, thank you all for being on this session. Super awesome, especially on a very interesting day. And love everybody's participation today. So thank you. And I think next time we're going to actually talk about advertising and maybe show you some examples of what are some great ads and what are some really poor ads, and what happens if you have either or and what to avoid, right? So let's talk about advertising, because some of us do spend money on the advertising part to gain more visibility or even more customers. November 20th coming up, and it's 1 o'clock, so I think we will call it a wrap. Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, thank you guys for hosting this. This was a good conversation. I got a lot out of it.
Thank you, Coach Steve. Thank you, Alan and Alan. Thank you,
Sanjay.
Ricardo.
Ricardo, nice to see you again. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah. Nice
Thank you,
to
Ram,
see
as well. I think he just left, but thank you all. Yeah.
Take care. See you, Alan.
Okay, okay.
Cheers.